Messages are on. And let's see. There.
All right.
Hey guys, we are back for our Go Live, and now it has a name. Our Go Live has a name, Stoic Sunday. I thought that would be kind of fun name. All right, guys, let us know in the comments. What kind of questions should we ask people for the comments?
What's your favorite color donkey?
Your favorite color donkey?
Yeah, I mean, we all have that, our favorite color. Love to hear what it is.
I don't know if I have a favorite color donkey.
You know me, as long as they're soft and fuzzy and like hugs, I really am kind of colorblind.
You are kind of fond of that. If you can pet it, that's what you love. Mountain Belt is on.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for
Awesome.
stopping by.
All right, guys. So Mountain Built, what's your favorite color donkey? If you guys haven't checked out Mountain Built's channel, you totally have to because they're totally awesome.
Yeah, you have to check Mountain Built out. You'll thank us later. Awesome folks over there.
My new thumbnail is it's inspired by Mountain Built.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm like, oh, look at that. I like that, having a theme. So today we're going to, let's see, I think classic black with the leather muzzle. They are pretty.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Praise the Lord is on. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I don't think you've been able to make it yet, but praise the Lord. She's been watching since we started.
And she asked how cold it got. We got up to a sultry, sweaty, muggy 12 degrees today.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 10 o'clock this morning, it was still minus 12. And right at about 4 o'clock this evening, you know, we got up the hottest part of the day. Then the winds kicked in. It's supposed to be in the 40s this week.
The cold hit in Arkansas.
I heard on the news you guys are suffering down there. You ever been pulled in a sleigh behind your donkey? Now's your chance.
Well, that would be a fun thing to do.
It'd be great. Yeah, skijoring with a donkey.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if Holler would be willing to go fast enough to do that. When
She'd be exciting. Yeah, I'd rather hook up the honk and put some skis on a reclining chair and go for a stroll across the pasture. It'd be great.
Skijoring with Holler. I like this idea. All right, guys. So before we jump in, I want to make sure I thank all of our members. Like, genuinely, we love that you guys are doing this, that you guys are supporting us.
Yeah.
We have more members now on the higher tiers. And so with those higher tiers, we're helping to like guide you through like what we're feeling, why we make the choices that we make when we're gentling or training. So thank you guys. We appreciate you so much. And today we're going to talk about something I see come up a lot with my messages or on Facebook. It's been warm here. Mountain Built says 28 and no wind. Oh my gosh, we've been having horrible winds.
Send us your no wind. I'd like to try that, please.
We have mid 40s and I think 50s coming up. Praise the Lord says, what temps do you guys blanket the donkeys?
We don't. We put them in the barn.
Praise the Lord has a barn and they seem to be doing well. So what we kind of watch for, praise the Lord, is if they're shivering, we know we need to give them more hay or blanket them if they're shivering.
Yeah, and keep the ice out of the water. Get a tank heater in there. Let them gulp down nice clean water without having to wrestle with ice chunks and stuff. I mean, sometimes it happens, but get them out of the wind and give them extra food. Make sure that clean water with a tank heater in there, or if you don't have one, remove the ice chunks so drink more water.
Now, if we don't have a shelter for them, then we start blanketing when it's, especially if there's freezing rain, blankets go on. And then, I don't know, normally we're below 0. That's when we start to blanket. And then if it gets up to 30, that blanket is off because we don't want them to lose their winter coat.
And that's if we don't have a shelter. We have shelter. It's not heated, but they get out of the wind and they get out of the snow.
Yeah. So, and that's perfect what you're doing, praise the Lord, because when they're eating, they're creating heat. So that's helping some. But that's just what we do. When we had, it was negative 17 and then we had high winds coming. So we went down because we have some in the waiting area and then the ones that were gentling are up in the training pens. And then they have barn all the time. So then we moved everybody. We kicked everybody out of the waiting pens and moved them all to the barn and put hay in there to lure them in. Because some of them have never been in the barn, so they might be kind of scaredy cats.
Right. Yep. Yeah, we've had some batches come through when the cold weather hits that we have to chase them into the barn.
Rooster was standing in their tank and playing and pawing around, and he was watching the horror hoping it'd break the tank heater.
Oh,
Wild Mustang Frank is always taking the tank heater out, so we add water every day because our well's not super strong. And wasn't there like an inch of water on it when you went in there to top it off 2 days ago?
oh yeah, yesterday morning, and I would make sure at sunset every water trough on the property is full. And yesterday morning I went down there to feed, and I always check water, make sure nothing froze up overnight. And there, with 1 inch of water missing from the trough, they've been trying to bite through the ice. Well, after I watered our Mustang Frank, the prankster, he can't not fiddle with anything. He had pulled the heater out and was laying on the ground next to the tank, and they were all pretty thirsty. So we're gonna get one of those
They're in
ones that
trouble.
screw into the bottom of the tank. We got to Frank proof
Because
that
of
thing.
Frank.
Yeah,
He's-
Frank the prankster.
Yeah, he does like to play. All right, guys, so what we're talking about today is why some trainers refuse to train donkeys. And this is not like bash a trainer, guys. What I really want people to take away from this is it's not about criticizing anybody. Many trainers who they don't work with donkeys are excellent horse men and women. We have to use that kind that goes into the bottom because of the floating ones. The mules pull them out and play with it.
Okay. Well, I had suggested to Reed that maybe his mule was pulling it out, and
He thought, no, that
he's
Quinn
like,
was
no,
innocent.
his innocent little baby girl would never do that.
Not Quinn. So I want to be really clear from the start, guys. This isn't about calling anybody out or criticizing anybody who's training. Many of the trainers that don't want to deal with donkeys, they don't want to train them. They're really good horsemen and horsewomen. But it's about understanding the difference, not blame.
Right,
I mean, because
yeah.
they are different. Sometimes I don't think I see it because I didn't start training until I started training with mules and donkeys.
Okay.
So sometimes I miss some of those things. I've never, other than Frankenstein, well, we've trained 4 wild Mustangs. But yeah, Quinn would never exactly.
Right, this
Not Quinn.
poor little sweetie got blamed for a crime she didn't commit. Yeah.
All right, guys. So if you've ever been told that donkeys are stubborn or that they're hard to train, that's just how donkeys are. This conversation is for you.
Well, I see that. I mean, when we have Mustangs and donkeys that were gentling at the same time, you can get huge leaps and bounds and large chunks of yardage in progress with a Mustang session versus a donkey session.
Oh my gosh, it's like night and day.
With not every horse, not every donkey, nothing's the same, but generally I see with, you can get a couple of yards of progress with a Mustang.
With the obstacle course,
Right.
then we would bring Frank or Stein and then a donkey.
There you go. That's an excellent example. Whereas with a donkey, in the same amount of time, you might get like one hair.
They look at it.
You have to measure the progress with like a micrometer. If you got a family member who's a machinist, you borrow their micrometer, and it's really small, but it's solid, it's thorough. So yeah, I can see where if you have spent your life teaching, and you're highly successful at training horses, and you've got your recipe and you're getting progress every time, okay, along comes the donkey, and you may have a great recipe, but for whatever reason, something is off that day, and you get nothing.
It's a mismatch
Yeah,
in expectations.
yeah, so-
with the donkey, you have to go so slow. You have to
Mismatch,
get
yeah.
to their mind. And with a horse, they're often going to try because their thing is to they're going to try it and offer you like 20 answers and hopefully one of them sticks to the wall, right?
Yep.
But not a donkey. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so and Ty talked about that. But someone asked him one time, and Ty answered this question. Hopefully, I got it right. Someone asked, "Well, why do you prefer a mule over a horse?" And Ty used the analogy of, "Well, let's use a classroom setting, and you've got a room full of horses, and you got one mule sitting in the back, and you ask the question, what's 1 + 1? You get all the horses going, oh, I got the answer, and they're like 9, it's 15, 6, 10, 12. And finally the teacher points at the mule in the back and says, how about you, mule? And do you have an answer? He just kind of sat all stoic for a while and finally said 2. After all the circus of everyone, I got the answer, I got the answer. And so a donkey is even much more reserved than a mule is.
Yeah.
They're not going to throw you a lot of answers to your questions. But if you're patient, very patient, it will be the correct answer.
Totally will. So what we're going to talk about is 5 different reasons some trainers choose not to work with donkeys. And this came up recently because somebody I was talking to was like, oh yeah, their husband is a trainer and they're a trainer, and they're like, my husband won't even touch a donkey. Like, they refuse. So this happens, and I know that this person is a good trainer. So most trainers learn their foundation through horses, right? So horses respond quickly. Sometimes even when they're unsure, they're still going to throw an answer and hope that it sticks to the wall. But a donkey is different. They often just pause and think, just like what you were talking about. A donkey's going to think about it for 7 to 10 business days, and then they'll give you an answer. But when we can break that stuff down really small, then they'll be quicker. They won't need a full 7 to 10 business days, just 3 to 5.
Yeah, and more donkey talk. And I hope I don't do a spoiler alert by accident. But what was the phrase you talked about? Power of the pause.
Oh yeah, that's my new phrase. I just love it. The power
So
of
she
the
was
pause.
she was all excited here in the last day or 3 about the catchphrase she created called "Power of the Pause," and we had a young lady from Whitehall, Montana, show up yesterday. It was planned. Showed up politely on time and everything. Everything went real smooth. Got the chute loaded up. We're loading wild donkeys to our storefront, and it's windy. It's brutally, horribly cold. It's miserable. Everything's covered in snow, and it felt like the ice planet Hoth from Star Wars. I mean, it was horrible. And we got these little donkeys on up to the trailer, and we stopped. We just let them stand there and watch them sniff the trailer and look back. We just waited, and we didn't measure the time, but it was
smooth.
It was smooth, and we gave them a amount of time. I was almost becoming impatient, but they were still checking things out. And then I think MaryJo led the charge. Just a little flick of the flag.
Only if they weren't looking at the trailer.
Yeah.
That's when I would flick the flag.
When they weren't looking at the trailer, a little flick of the flag, and they're like, huh. They had surveyed the situation that the pressure's behind us, and it's not scary in a trailer, and it's not windy in there. And we've done scarier things than this, because they've been captured in a while with a helicopter or whatever. And they just went, boop, boop, both jumped on in like they've been doing it their whole life.
We'll have to research that. I don't think they use helicopters to catch donkeys because they don't move very well. I think they use traps more
It's
often.
more romantic and glorious, because they had to outrun fighter jets and helicopters and tranquilizer cannons and all that.
So donkeys think and they assess. And my next part of the notes was about the power of the pause. So a pause can be read so easily as resistance when they're really just processing what's in front of them. So when someone's trained primarily with horses who are going to throw out an answer and hope it sticks to the wall, it can really, really feel like nothing is happening. Even for us who do donkeys all the time, sometimes it still feels like nothing is happening.
Oh, and we experienced that firsthand. Donkey to a Mustang. We don't do a lot of Mustangs, but enough to know that we love them. When we have freshly arrived wild donkeys, and a couple of Mustangs, or a Mustang, like a rescue Corky. How much progress there is, and then you switch over and you go to a donkey, and how little progress there is.
Right, it can be so slow. So when it's feeling slow and you feel like absolutely nothing is happening, they are thinking, they're processing. It's all internal though. So it can be really hard to notice the things. We're calling him Richard. Richard, when he started to first show a minuscule of curiosity, he relaxed enough to check out the barn.
Yeah.
Years ago, I would have missed that. I would have never even thought that him smelling the wall of the barn meant anything. But it did. He was like, oh my gosh, I'm in a barn. Like, he didn't even know because he was so afraid.
Yep.
So they're processing and it's all internal. Reason number 2, some training systems are absolutely not designed for donkeys. And it won't work. When you're working with a donkey and you want to apply more pressure to get them to do A, B, or C, that more pressure will typically cause them just to shut down. Done.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Totally. And it's not that you can never put pressure on them. but it has to be like the form of a ladder or stairs. You can't go from low, from a bottom step to 4 steps. They're not going to skip any steps.
No, and I try all the time.
Dan
And
does.
I hear from my pen, I need a new donkey. I broke this one. I usually shut them down because I'm usually trying to get away with how big of a step can I take before this donkey shuts down at me.
And it's not that that's bad. You need to recognize that you've shut them down and stop what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you go too far too fast and you shut your donkey down, it's okay. Just stop.
And every donkey is different. So of the 10 that we were most recently gentling, 2 of those guys are gone, but we have 2 that graduated, and we have 1 that he can't even consistently eat next to me. We have a whole bunch of others that are at all the different stages between that. So
Yeah.
many training systems work because they're set up for a horse. So they're working on movement and they're working on repetition and escalation and then a release. And remember, even for a donkey, repetition, they learn everything so darn fast. And we're the ones that need the repetition more than the donkeys do.
Right?
They're quick to understand.
They learn that repetition. In fact, it might be by accident, but like we've got we call it the warehouse, where all the unhandled ones are way out back, and up front we have training pens where we keep 8-10 donkeys that are in donkey boot camp, if you will. But then we have to separate them in different pens at training time, and it's by about day 3 that he goes here, they go there. They, instead of being confused about gates, which way to go, they figure it out really fast.
Yep.
Was
And
it
they
right
start off
about
being
day
kind of-
3?
Yeah, probably close to that.
Yeah, and day 1 is just like, oh my gosh, we can have a donkey-shaped hole in a pen somewhere. And then by day 3, they're like, okay, I'll go over there, and they know what to expect.
Right. When a donkey doesn't respond to structure, sometimes a trainer feels like maybe I'm doing this wrong. What should the next steps be? Those are questions that Dan and I ask. I'm always, when I can't fall asleep at night, it's because I'm thinking, how do I get through to Richard? And I'm still trying to decide how to get through to Richard. That discomfort isn't because anybody's doing anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong with Richard, and a horse trainer's not necessarily doing anything wrong, but we have to take into account how their mind works. So we're meeting them at their level.
Yeah.
And you can have a horse that's like this. You can have a horse that's very donkey-like.
Yeah.
Stein was.
We've had some donkeys that are very horse-like.
This is true.
Yeah, they guess, they answer quickly, even if it's wrong. But as a rule of thumb, there's always outliers.
Exceptions, yeah. So it's often because the system itself just wasn't designed. They're working out from pressure and release, and then that repetition in the movement, which a donkey is not going to offer. And then many trainers choose not to continue rather than guess, push, or risk creating confusion or stress. I've been in that boat where I'm like, oh, I can't train Seamus. I don't know what I'm doing. Now, reason number 3 is donkeys show stress by, who knows?
Yeah, answer the question.
Answer the question. They show stress
How
by
do they show stress?
stopping.
What does a donkey do when they're overwhelmed?
So if we think we're going to get bigger or faster or louder to get them to do what we're asking or to get them to move, often we just shut them down.
Yep.
So if you're used to a horse who is typically going to move from that same pressure, we can become dumbfounded as to how to get through to this donkey.
Yep.
Donkeys often do the opposite. They're going to get still, they'll disengage, and they will shut down. One of the things that we see shut down is, I used to say just when they would go to the corner of their pen with their head down, kind of like an ostrich. But I also see with Richard, he will just go stand with his head kind of high and kind of just gazing off into the distance.
1,000-mile stare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So someone who's expecting motion and it looks like refusal, donkeys, stopping is a communication. They're saying, I don't understand and I don't feel safe. Reason number 4 is emotional timing. So donkeys need, make sure you get that part, that they need this. This isn't just, it would be nice if they have it. They need curiosity. They need to have internal readiness, and they need a reason that makes sense to them. And you can't rush that. That's why we have 10 different donkeys that have 10 different stages.
Who started at the same time.
Yeah. You cannot rush this stuff. You have to just go at their own pace. And trainers working under time constraints, clinics, schedules, expectations, may not have that flexibility. I swear every time I go in there and I have a timeline, I get a little bit nervous, like, and then we have to control our own emotions, right? So again, it's not wrong, it's just different. Now, reason number 5, donkeys change the relationship model.
Well, explain that one. I'm all ears here.
Training donkeys relies less on compliance. Mountain Built says, Josie, our spotted mule, does that. The 1,000-mile stare. She has a lot of donkey type tendencies, so she's our dun mule. Rita, Clyde, are more like a horse. That is so cool. It's not cool, it's funny, I guess.
Yeah, they're such unique individuals.
Mountain Built, you guys just bid on a horse. Or was it a mule? Did you get it? I saw they bid on one that looks just like their girl.
Really cool.
Yeah, she's all spotted and cute. I think it might be a donkey after hearing you talk about them. All right. So the relationship model. Training donkeys, it relies less on compliance and more on cooperation. Now, do you guys know my 3 C's? This is another one that I just came up with. I added to it. It used to be two C's, but so it's, first one is curiosity, connection, and then cooperation. Now, training the donkeys, we need to have all 3 of these, and I would say most of the time in that order. You can switch it, but sometimes you're trading trust. Oh, it went too high. Oh, no.
Darn it. Oh, next time.
Yeah. So you can't overpower a donkey, at least not in the long term, and win. You have to earn the conversation. And I just love that thought. You have to earn the conversation with the donkey. Like, they're like, let me see your resume.
Right.
And I would like 2 months to
your-
review it.
Your 3 C's, I love that. I'm just reflecting on the past week or 2 of training. Connection, or curiosity, connection, and cooperation. Man, I tell you what, curiosity is a big step. Once you get to curiosity, then the connection, action, reward. Now you're communicating a little bit. You're starting to connect. Once you're connecting and curiosity, once you have curiosity and there's a connection, you're 80% of the way there.
Yeah, because
'Cause-
the other stuff comes easy. Teaching them to pick up their feet sometimes can be time consuming, but it's not hard.
Yeah, but curiosity first, and you get that connection. They know wonderful things are going to happen in the form of things that taste good, or a scratch, or itchy spot, or whatever. When they know that something good is going to happen for their action, that's the connection.
You know, something
and
that I
then-
think happens with the curiosity is they start to be able to pay attention to be able to find you predictable.
Yes,
As a wild donkey, they really are afraid you're going to eat them. They really
literally,
don't
yeah,
know.
yep. And so it seems, we see some donkeys that their prey fear instinct is so strong, it stops them from being curious.
Absolutely.
They're like more like, how am I going to defend myself? Where can I hide? This pen is small.
That's where
But-
Richard is.
Yeah, but once they start getting curious and making gestures towards you that are non-threatening and they're curious, and then you make that connection, once they cross that bridge, that cooperation, you get so much cooperation.
Absolutely.
When you take your time and you finally get the connection or curiosity connection, then that's when it gets really fun. So for some of you who are frustrated that it's taking way longer than you expect the sugar cubes to take, you'll get there, and it's going to feel really, really good because your foundation will be really, really solid. You'll have a very cooperative animal.
Remember, we're always trying to teach them coping skills. So if we skip this stuff or we rush ahead and then we lose the trust and we haven't taught them good coping skills. Here's an example. I was working with Richard yesterday and I was going to leave him in the barn section and go work with him this morning. And Dan's like, that's not going to work. They all need access to the barn tonight because it was going to be cold again. So then I sat down there. I'm like, Dan, you need to leave the barn because right now with Richard, if there's any movement outside of the pen, we're done. Okay. And so I use food to start to get that curiosity. So I have to put the feed pan like 10 feet from me, and then Dan comes down and he won't eat it. And then his friend left, and then he was afraid. And then he was actually trembling. Like, he was so afraid. Like, sometimes I think, well, should I just try to manhandle it? Should I try to force it a little bit more? But when he's trembling, he's afraid, guys. So no, I'm not going to. So I wanted him to be taking the food from the feed pan from between my feet. And right now I can have one foot out and he'll take the feed pan. And that's what he was doing before you moved.
Yeah.
And then Dan moved and then he was done. And then I'm like, Dan, you need to go up to the house because I need to have this alone time with this. And then he came back down and then we were done again. So he's trembling. He's sad that his friend is gone. He's walking around. He's pacing. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going to move this feed pan next to my feet. I'm going to feed you, I think it was 8 feet away is where I got him at. And I'm going to keep doing this until you relax enough that I feel like hope anyways, that you're developing some coping skills.
So there's an extreme. He's an extreme animal. He's handsome. I believe he's going to be kind. He's not done nothing mean. But think about this. If you're having trouble with your recently acquired wild donkey, maybe even a domestic one, MaryJo's got, and I'm not far off my math, at least 20 sessions in a pen, on a chair, trying to get this donkey to eat something 8 feet from her. And all it takes is for something to be off. An extra person, his buddy leaves, and he's still so terrified, she can see him trembling. And this is after 20 sessions. So
over last weekend, I sat with them for 8 hours, 2 days in a row. No, I had a pen.
Think of that.
I can't talk.
Say
I had
that
a
again.
friend in the pen, 8 hours, 2 days in a row.
16 hours last weekend.
Yeah.
I was out ice fishing, and you're sitting with Richard for 16 hours Saturday and Sunday.
It was, and there was breaks, guys, but I would be in the pen, and then I would go and do water, and then I'd come back in the pen, and then I would go clean the pen, and then I would come in the pen, you know, so it was back and forth. But 16 hours, it was with his friend. He's eating from my hand now. He didn't used to be able to do that. Hay from my hand. He's eating right next to my body. He didn't used to do that.
So there's progress, but it's
one hair at a
it's
time.
razor thin every time.
Yeah.
And every now and then we get impatient because we have a lot of donkeys that need our attention. But we both know he'll get there.
He will.
He's gonna be just like any other donkey out there that's digging in your pocket. It's
Totally.
gonna take him longer.
But once he gets there, if we've taught him the coping skills, then they're gonna last.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that's what I'm doing. And sometimes I second guess myself, but that's what I'm hoping that I'm doing. So if you are a horse trainer and you haven't dealt with this before, can you imagine how like frustrating that would be?
Yeah, if your mindset is I'm a horse trainer and along comes Richard, I get it. Yeah, I don't want to do any more donkeys. So I was going to take 16 hours to get him to move 3 feet. I mean, that's a big investment of time.
And so choosing to not work with the donkey for some people, it's not about preference, or it is about preference, not ability. Like,
Yeah.
if they're just like, heck no, I'm not sitting, I'm not going to do that. So donkeys, you're not going to overpower them and have it be lasting. You have to earn that conversation with them. And some trainers like that shift. They love that, but others do not. Most trainers who choose not to work with donkeys, they're not bad trainers, guys.
They're great trainers.
Yeah.
There's some of the top trainers, rich and famous trainers, won't work with donkeys just simply because their horse methods aren't ideally suited for progress with a donkey.
Absolutely. And how some people train horses, you're absolutely not going to do that with the donk. So
Nope.
now for channel members, guys, I'm going to be sharing a new members only video this week. And this one here, I take all the footage and I just walk you through why I make the decision I make for everything that I'm doing. So this is like a new type of video. I haven't done this kind too much where I'm just narrating what I'm doing. It's very on the whim. And so watch for that, for everybody out there who are members for that. It's just going to help you understand what I'm thinking when I make choices that I make. All those quiet moments, guys. All right, so now motivation. We always do a motivation part.
Can I talk more about the teaching and learning part?
Heck yeah.
Absolutely. So it's occurred to me the amount of time that MaryJo and I invest in training pens with wild. I mean, this will work just fine on domestic donkeys and these wild donkeys. And it's like we're here. MaryJo puts out a couple hours a week of video and several hours behind the scenes in order to produce those videos. But that's just a minority of the time. Most of our time is in the pens, gentling donkeys. But in this journey, we're learning as fast as we're training. Okay, so our knowledge base is fluid and constantly expanding. So we're in this journey with you. We're learning along the way. We're in the trenches 30 to 50 hours a week. So it's humbling.
It is, yeah.
It is very
Totally.
humbling. You think, oh, okay, I got the recipe. You've had 4 donkeys go smooth, and along comes Richard. Or the last 40 donkeys went smooth, and here comes Squirrel. It's always a learning process. And just remember, no two are the same.
And there's more than one way to do things. It's not like our way is the only way. We're just sharing what we do.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And so if we're open-minded, you have different views or ideas or something that was successful or unsuccessful, drop us a note. We'd like to hear it. We'd love to collaborate.
Right now I'm thinking with Richard, because he is one of the slowest donkeys that I've worked with. Not necessarily the slow. Squirrel might have been slower, but we have seen videos where somebody will kind of like put a donkey between panels and then start working on touching.
Yep.
And I keep thinking, well, should I do that? Like, would I be faster if I did that? And then I could be working on gaining trust while I'm teaching him to halter and learning to accept touch, like all that stuff. And then I'm like, no, he was trembling. I just need to slow down and let him get comfortable. And then at night, that's what I lay and I think about.
Yeah, and we've talked about this quite a bit today. Richard is, you've heard his name. I'll pay $2 for anyone who can count how many times you said Richard tonight. We've actually discussed putting him in a squeeze chute and actually forcing a touch, with a lid on it so he can't jump out. If that would speed up his confidence level or reduce his fear, or is it going to create a bigger gap in trust and create more fear? We don't know. But if we're still talking about Richard like this 6 weeks from now, we're probably going to end up trying a squeeze chute and getting him in there and scratch him on that tickle place and give him the snooky gookies up front, give him some oats, whatever. We'll see. Stay tuned. The journey of Richard's going to be an interesting one.
It totally will be. And I think I have figured out if we were to use a squeeze chute, I think I figured out how to do it without having him go backwards. However, I think it's risky.
Yeah. And if anyone watching has been involved with not a run-of-the-mill wild dog, a special one, did you use a squeeze chute? Did you stick your hand through and scratch your withers? Did you force the issue, if you will? I'd love to hear from someone who's been involved with something like that.
I always say I'm not going to ever do that again. Like we used to do that with a flag or like a long stick and force the touch a little bit more. And those donkeys are great, but now I want to do better by them, right? So as I learn, I want to do better. So I think, I don't know what we're going to do with him. I'm going to keep sitting with him for now.
Yeah, the folks who want Richard were like, well, I think we'll have him ready for Christmas.
I told him 4 months. I thought it would take 4 months. And I really think it might take 4 months.
And the thing is, he's got kind, soft eyes. He's muscular. He's a handsome donkey.
Yeah.
I mean, he exudes self-confidence, but he's really a little kid inside, afraid of everything.
It took Squirrel 6 weeks before he ate from my hand. And we're not at 6 weeks of gentling with Richard yet.
Right.
So I probably need to remember that.
Managing expectations, right?
Expectations are a huge part of this. So if you're working with a donkey and you feel like you're falling behind, that's how I feel with Richard. Everybody else is like graduating and picking up their feet. And
those are natural feelings, and we'll love to help you through it.
so you're watching others go faster, and then you've been told you're doing too little. I want you to hear this. Slower doesn't mean weaker. Pausing doesn't mean failing. Listening does not mean you lack confidence. Sometimes it means you're actually paying attention to your donkey, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to understand what our donkey is telling us and trying to meet them where they're at. So right now I'm still just sitting with Richard.
She's doing a great job with him. I'm over there. We're picking up feet and we're jumping in trailers, putting halters on. And
You were hilarious yesterday. You were like, my name is Richard, and my favorite thing I like to do for pastime is watch water boil. And you had a whole slew of those that you were.
Yeah, hi, my name is Richard, the donkey. I like to watch paint dry, but sometimes it happens too fast. I get scared. One time, I was out cloud watching, and one was scary shaped, so I had to go hide. Yeah.
He's pretty funny. Dan is pretty funny. Now, I also want to mention clinics and camps, right? So we've opened up a small number of clinics and camps for this year, 2026. Now, I didn't put in a description. I'll do that. I'll put I don't think I did a description. I can't remember.
You just lost an argument with yourself.
That happens to me sometimes, guys. But I'll put a link in the description. The clinics are 3 days long and they're here. We're only doing it on 2 different weekends.
Yeah.
And then the camps are 5 days intensive gentling camps. And that way you can have us walk you through what's happening, making decisions, and then to help you and you can do that with a completely untouched, or one that we already gentled.
Yeah. You can literally come here, pick, as long as you're pre-approved, pull your donkeys from the pen. I want that one and that one.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put it in a chute, put it in a trailer, move it to the training pens, and we spend a week with you, both of us, learning that donkey.
And I think, so donkeys do best with another donkey friend, right? So I think that the best case scenario for this would be getting 2 donkeys, one that's already tip trained, or it's not called tip anymore, but one that's already gentled, and then one that's completely wild. And then you would be able to see 2 different like extremes, because boy, the Richards of the world, we might not have first touch after a week.
Right.
You just don't know what you're going to have. But then the ones that are already gentled, we can just be helping you read their body language. And this is like all day, it'll be very intensive gentling. So guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope that this conversation is helpful or gives you new insights. Now, if you guys haven't yet subscribed, please do subscribe. I think it's like half of the people that watch haven't subscribed to our channel based on the analytics. So please subscribe for sure.
And yeah, thank you so much for your support.
We appreciate you guys.
So glad you guys are here.
And let's see. I don't have anything else on my notes.
Well,
But keep seeing your donkeys for where they're at now, and then helping them along the way. And we will be back next Sunday for Stoic Sunday. Maybe this is inspired by Richard.
you're going to be by yourself next weekend.
Oh, that's right, because you're going to be with your dad.
Yeah.
Oh, we could have Val and Hannah on.
Oh my
Grandma's
gosh.
going to be here.
We can have the Minnesotans on. Yeah.
Minnesotans. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. You guys have a
Yeah.
great day.
Yeah, guys, can't thank you enough for stopping by. Have a good night.
Let's see.